We've got some breaking news. Epstein survivors have spoken out. They are being backed by Congressman Khanna and Rep. Massey, conservative, Democrat, coming together to make sure that the truth comes out when it comes to the Epstein file release. Now, I have an exclusive interview for you with Rep. Khanna, who's backing this bill that would release the Epstein files. I asked him your questions. I exposed the lies coming from Mike Johnson in this fake bill that he's trying to have Republicans sign on to so that they can skirt away any responsibility. And I asked him point blank, how can we trust these files if they get released, knowing the Trump administration has touched them? And his response, I thought, was very, very interesting and made sense. Now, Donald Trump is being brought into this because Donald Trump is the one preventing these from being released. He can release them tomorrow. We've seen him do it with the MLK files. He could do it today. Here is what he called the Epstein files, and then I got some response, and then we're going to get into that Khanna interview.
Democrat hoax that never ends. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
Mr. President.
All right, so it's not a hoax. Marjorie Taylor Greene was at this press conference. We have Lauren Boebert signed on wanting these files released. This is not a Democratic hoax. It's far from it. This is one of the few bipartisan pieces of legislation that have come out of Congress in a long time, and the Democrats are not behind it. And the White House actually came out before this presser saying helping Thomas Massey and liberal Democrats with their attention seeking, while the DOJ is fully supporting a more comprehensive file release effort from the Oversight Committee, would be viewed as a very hostile act to the administration. That's how they see this. Well, it's only a hostile act if doing this is somehow hurting the president. I suppose that's a question worth asking. Why do they think helping these survivors is a hostile act? So here is my interview with Rep. Khanna. Thank you so much. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and the rest of the audience. I want to quickly point out that what you're doing here is important, but Speaker Mike Johnson has also tried to kind of change the narrative on this by giving folks a way to have an exit plan so they don't have to directly, they don't have to release the files. They basically are going to vote a non-binding resolution? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Well, look, first of all, that was just heartbreaking testimonials from the survivors. I mean, many of them were emotional. They broke down in tears, talking about being raped, being assaulted, being abused at the age of 14, at the age of 15, going to the police and having the police not do anything because Jeffrey Epstein was friends with powerful political and business leaders. And they're saying they're two Americas and that they're tired of it and they want a closure and they want the files released. This is not a political issue. It is a human issue. Anyone who cares about survivors, who cares about abuse, should not be playing politics with it. What we need to do is release these files and make sure that these victims finally get justice in this country. And that has really been my focus, and that's Massey and my focus. And so we have all 212 Democrats now on the bill, and we have 4 Republicans: Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. And now we need 2 more, and that's going to be the focus. I mean, John said this is all Washington insider games, but basically it doesn't do anything in getting the release of the files. The vehicle to get the release of the files of the Massey-Khanna bill and the discharge petition.
And folks want to know, who are the 2 persuadable Republicans? Are there any?
There are. There are 12 who signed our bill. So people like Tim Burchide and Ralph Norman. So I would start by looking at the co-sponsors of the bill, where there are 12. 4 of them have signed. And then, I was told that Victoria Spratz was out at the press conference, so she's certainly persuadable. But there are 200 plus Republicans, and we only need 2. And if we get 2, we're basically going to pass this in the House of Representatives. That would be a big deal. And by the way, it predates Trump. I mean, this has been justice denied for those victims for decades. The problem is much bigger than Pam Bondi. The problem is that this country has basically shielded rich and powerful men from having any accountability. And so the best way to get this done is to keep this at a matter of principle, that we are standing with the survivors, we're standing with the victims, and we're standing against people who abuse them.
Speaking of rich and powerful men who have avoided accountability, Donald Trump posted that anyone who voted for this would be basically enemy of the administration.
Did you post that today?
Yeah. Did you?
Well, I was with the victims, so I haven't seen his latest. I know he was responding to the victims. The victims were actually not even attacking him. They actually said, President Trump, we need your help. We need the help to have justice for ordinary Americans. This is a case. This is not a liberal resist MSNBC concoction. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Thomas Massie. This is Lauren Boebert. This is Nancy Mace. You'd be hard-pressed to question all of their MAGA credentials. There were a lot of MAGA influencers at the press conference. In fact, more conservative MAGA influencers. Why is that? Because this was such an issue in the MAGA base. People felt that these rich and powerful people had corrupted Washington. And President Trump ran on this. And we're now at a fork. He can either do what he said he would do and actually get praise from the victims for doing that, or he can hunker down in a sense of not releasing these things. But that's just going to keep the suspicion, keep the anger, and this thing is not going away.
They did release something, right? But it was basically what we've all seen already.
Well, they released less than 1% of the files. They're 300 gigabits of files. How do we know that? The FBI said that publicly. They released less than 1 gigabyte. And 97% of that was already public. It was basically the Pam Bondi release when she tried it with the creators, and they were like, "Oh, this doesn't pass the smell test. It's all public information." Well, they're trying the same game now, and a lot of times that stuff works, unfortunately, in politics. But it's not going to work this time. And the reason it's not going to work this time is all of the attention. When the American public chooses to pay attention to something, you can't fool them. If they're not paying attention to the details, it's easy to move on or skirt the details. But we had more cameras there at this press conference on the victims than I've ever seen in my 9 years in Congress.
I guess, let's say they are released. This is not an administration known for telling the truth or afraid of telling lies. There are garbage bags being thrown out of the White House. Trump said it was AI, clearly not AI. So how can we trust, if you get these files, how can we even trust what's in them?
Well, the lawyers of the victims have seen them. So we would have a sense of what they're doing. They just can't speak about them under court order, and they can't release it. But they've seen it, and that's why they're pushing for the release. The other Justice Department officials have seen them. So we would have ways of corroborating whether what is in there is actually being released.
And let's say, God forbid, this isn't successful. What would be the next step if it's not?
Well, we're going to keep fighting. I mean, we have 216 signatures. We will have once every Democrat signs it. We already had 134 Democrats sign it yesterday. I'm hoping the rest will sign it today. And then the next step is to get two more Republicans. And we've got all the time in the world. I mean, if the speaker really wants to keep this an issue where every Republican for the next year is asked, why didn't you sign the Epstein file discharge bill, he can keep it afloat. But the victims aren't going anywhere. Massie is not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. This is going to be an issue until we get the files.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I do hope it happens. And to anyone who is watching this, we only need two.
We need two. First, we need all the Democrats to get on today. That's just out of organizational laziness. Hopefully everyone will go to the floor and sign it. Everyone's committed to signing it, but we need their actual signatures. So it becomes clear that it's the Republicans that are holding this up, because once we hit 212, then they have 4 Republicans, that's 216, then we only need 2 Republicans. And so today has to be a social media campaign, release the files, support Khanna's bill. And it's important that they talk about the Khanna discharge, because as you mentioned earlier, there are some fake bills that the speaker's introducing that don't do anything, but they will say, oh, you checked the box, you did it. No, the survivors were very clear. What they want is the real thing, the Khanna discharge. And if we could flood social media calling for every member of Congress to support that, that would be a big help.
We'll do it. Well,
thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.